Hi, I'm Dr. Matt B, and these are your Emotional Minutes, and welcome back. And I'm actually here in Joshua Tree National Park, and places like this have often been used for psychedelic use, both for recreation and experimentation, but also for spiritual purposes as well. And psychedelics and other substances have become very popular in terms of mental health treatment, or at least the idea or the concepts behind these have become really popular and really intriguing for people. And really what these substances are thought to do is they're thought to actually sort of open up our experience and create psychological flexibility, increase openness to experience, and decrease things like rigidity of thinking or rigid or stabilized patterns of coping that people sometimes rely on, but that may be ineffective or may create even more difficulties in their lives. So patterns of behavior and patterns of thinking for coping purposes and just in general everyday life can actually become solidified or reinforced, and can also really become solidified in terms of pathways in the brain. And psychedelics and other substances are actually thought to sort of open up these pathways and create the opportunity to sort of think more openly and sort of develop new ways of coping or new ways of thinking more easily. And really, when we say psychedelics, we often think of magic mushrooms or psilocybin as being tested in research, but other substances like esketamine or ketamine or MDMA have also been tested as well. And although these substances have been found to increase openness to experience and new ways of coping and experiencing life and psychological flexibility, what a lot of this research looks at is these things done along with therapy. And really, they're thought to actually jumpstart the therapy process, for things like PTSD, depression, anxiety. But a lot of those things sort of involve, rigid patterns of thinking or behavior and sort of ways of responding to the difficulties that people experience that have been really solidified or reinforced over time. So, for example, you might sort of see negative, really entrenched thinking patterns in things like depression and anxiety, or things like, really sort of solidified or reinforced patterns of behavior like isolation or lack of engagement in rewarding or meaningful activities in depression. And for solidified patterns of avoidance and negative thinking patterns in things like anxiety and post-traumatic stress disorder. So the idea is that psilocybin and other substances can actually open up people's ability to sort of see other ways to cope with things and facilitate learning of new coping strategies and openness to experience and more psychological flexibility. So it's almost really a jump start to therapy. And in a lot of ways, it's actually been shown to help therapy for people who haven't sort of responded really well to other sorts of therapy, or they've had a difficult time, what you might refer to as sort of treatment resistant. So sometimes people will think, hey, a lot of this research has found that, yeah, it's great, go out and do mushrooms or go out and do Molly. And at least what the research is finding is that this is more sort of to be along with certain types of therapy to help facilitate those coping processes. So if you're interested in more of this topic from either a scientific perspective or a personal experience perspective, check out mattbphd.com, where I'll actually leave additional links in the post along with this video. And also, if you're interested in this for your own use or your own self, Google up on your own state, because different states are actually starting to enact certifications in which therapists can actually start to do this type of therapy, psychedelic assisted therapy or assisted therapies with other substances as well. So I'm going to get back to checking out Joshua Tree and all the interesting land formations, as you can see, and all the really interesting, weird looking Joshua trees. And so hopefully that was helpful today, though, in talking about psychedelic assisted therapy. And stay tuned in, and we'll see you next time on Emotional Minutes.